Hello class, my name is Hunter Fromm. Today I'll be doing my oral presentation. During this presentation I will be talking about a subject in the matter of student success, and I will be applying it to student learning, and I will be applying it into RN activities. Today's topic is going to be about um, music and its effects on education. So let's talk about that for a second. So, music is one of those things that we know to be very good for stress relief, right? People tell you to go and cool down, and most people will go on ahead and put in some music. So, some justifications for that would be that, music can cool you down. Why wouldn't it be able to teach you, or why wouldn't it be able to help you learn faster or learn more effectively? Another idea would be that music students are have this curve where the more into their music program that they do, the better that they are likely to do in school in their academic studies. Um, for an example, you um, most high school students know that one valedictorian that was probably in the music program, and most valedictorians are typically music oriented or part of some music program. But, anyways, so let's go to this article that we got here. So, my article talks about the effects of music um, on learning. And essentially, they do a couple of tests and they run through a couple of different other articles where they talk about the effects of music on between the ages of 5 to 12, and and their IQ essentially between those ages, and um, how much of their lives have been spent on either learning music or mostly spent on listening to music, and the correlation between their intelligence and how often they listen to music or are part of music. So if essentially they broke the article down into their control and their independent. The control was separated into into two different groups. The groups that had something to do with listening to music but not being a part of music, and groups that were not at all a part of music or really big into listening into music. And The independent group is the group that was mostly a part of making music or in learning how to read music. So this article essentially resulted in uh, the justification that music does not help at all with learning, and it essentially showed the correlation between it, and it showed starkly that it had no effect genuinely on somebody's IQ. And I personally found this shocking because I know music to be well at de-stressing people. So let's go over how we can use this information and how it can be helpful. So this information can be handy because it will, for one, tell me personally to not listen to music while I'm in class. But I also understand that music is good for de-stressing, and I would want to use it while I'm going on my way to take a test or something of the sort. Um, this article can also tell me about the fact that bias is pretty important whenever you're talking on a matter of science, and so you have to understand when you can see your bias and when you can't. So let's talk about when music can be handy for a second here. So this is unrelated to my article, but I feel as though that it's important to talk about. So music is important to people because it is a good de-stressor, and it's a proven de-stressor. In my previous paper that I wrote for this class, I had a article dedicated to just the effectiveness of music on de-stressing before test taking, and it proved that music was very handy in that. But music isn't always essential. Well, music isn't always handy when it comes to learning. And now, the article that I've read today would tell me that it would have no effect, but I would say that it would probably have a negative effect, and my reasoning for that that it's a distractor in a sense. And as much as I love listening to music while I'm in class, I can see how it can be distracting. So, overall, in that argument, I would say that music is good before you get to class, or before you go to take a test, to help you de stress and to help you calm your mind before you get to your testing. But I would say that it's probably detrimental to your learning ability, your ability to gain more information, most likely due to overwhelming sensory stimulus. So another part that I wanted to break off into is how this could help people, right, or me as an RN. And I don't want to necessarily use what was in the article for this, but I wanted to use the understanding of potential bias as part of what will make me a good RN. And so this article was really tough for me because I have found music to be super handy in my entire life. And so I can understand how other people would feel the same way or would feel opposite. However, I came looking into this topic understanding that music was already going to be beneficial for me. I kind of already had my mindset on this. But after reading this article, of course, I found out that that was just not the case. So, how I could use this in the RN world would be that I may understand that a treatment for a patient may genuinely be more beneficial, right? But for them, it may not be beneficial because of something else. And I need to understand, or I feel as though as any RN truly needs to understand that it's okay to be wrong, and that it's okay to understand that you're not always going to be right, and there's nothing wrong with that, essentially. So, understanding that you need to go into every situation as though you may potentially have some bias on a subject is important as well. Truly walking into a situation where you will be talking to a patient and you'll already have your mindset up could probably lead to health effects, negative health effects specifically. But the important part that I wanted to get across was walking into the room with an open mind, because there's no telling what kind of potential bias you might already have against a subject. So that was all I wanted to go over today. So as a summary, today's topic was about music and its effect on learning, justifications for that. So, talking about why we would believe that music would be handy. The fact that it is contrary and that music is detrimental to learning, how that information could be helpful, and the difference between stress and learning, using music for stress and learning. And then lastly, breaking off onto, potential bias on a situation. But thank you again, class, and I hope you had a great semester.